And Christ says here, and now I will send the Holy Spirit, just as my Father promised. But stay here in the city until the Holy Spirit comes and fills you with power from heaven. Now, it is important to understand the Holy Spirit is not a female God. God's primary nature is Hyungsang Sungsang. Internal nature, external form. But really, Hyungsang Sungsang Sungsang especially has a very deep internal, characteristical consciousness and emotive aspect that's all combined in that. Consciousness, I mean an intellect, a rational mind. All the things we associate with consciousness are in that, what we call Sungsang. Heart, emotion, intellect, will. All those things. In the Korean, when you say Sungsang or Hyungsang, it's talking about internal aspect, external form of the same God. So the secondary characteristics are the dual characteristics of God. There's masculine, there's feminine. Obviously, God is masculine because he's dominantly the Father. But that doesn't mean men who are masculine don't have a feminine side. But I may have a feminine side, but that doesn't make me a woman. That is not my primary characteristic. Does that make sense? And it certainly doesn't mean that I'm two people. So there's a problem with, of course, the family fraud and these kind of goddess theology craving worshipers who want to worship a goddess because they're archangelic and they're fallen, and don't want to accept God as the Father. Because they don't want to see and understand that God is the masculine dominant subject partner. And they don't want to understand from God's perspective that he wants women as his bride to be his object partner in love. And they're seeing it from if God is masculine and he's a father, then that's unfair because there's no representation of a mother. No, Eve was to be the mother. The human being, Adam, God dwelling in Adam's body, was to relate with Eve and to be the mother. The partner which God desired and which the partner which God wanted to interact and have relationship. Okay? So Holy Spirit, in that sense, of course, is playing a objective role to God. God is sending his Spirit, sending his Holy Spirit to work with the disciples, to fill the disciples. But this is not a separate God, nor is it a separate angel, nor a separate thing from God. Nor is it a separate entity in his primary characteristics, which then, of course, leads to ditheism. As the Bible says, it proceedeth forth from the Father. The Son proceeds forth from the Father. The Holy Spirit proceeds forth from the Son, who is one with the Father, you see. They are connected. When some male person or some man goes to the spirit world and his spirit is met, his spirit comes back and for example, his wife sees his spirit. That doesn't mean that his spirit is this feminine characteristic. You see? But the spirit of the man is playing a role representing that man. Obviously, this metaphor is not perfect because he's not God, and God is a transcendental being beyond both the earthly and physical world. Physical and spiritual worlds. But you get the point. That Holy Spirit represents God. But it plays a feminine, so to speak, motherly role in the church because it was not Jesus in the flesh. It's not in the flesh, right? It is a spirit which is unseen. And like Jesus said, when you see the Father, when you see the Son, you see the Father. It's not like actually meeting and touching Jesus in the flesh. But it is a comforter, a representative of God, a reflection of God, to be there to comfort the church, to put the arms around the church, like the hen puts around the chicken, of the chicks, till Christ returns. Okay? But it is not a separate God. That leads to ditheism. That leads to the destruction of monotheism. So Christ is talking about these things. The Holy Spirit then, as the interim representative of Christ and God, or the Paraclete, the Comforter, is now sent by Christ to be with the faithful. Then Jesus led them to Bethany and lifting his hands to heaven, he blessed them. When he was blessing them, he left and was taken up to heaven, worshipped him, and then returned to Jerusalem filled with joy. And spent all their time in the temple praising God. So when we experience Father's Holy Spirit, and we feel the protection and comforting of the Holy Spirit, inside the Holy Spirit, it is not a separate feminine God. Okay. But the Holy Spirit is playing a objective role in communicating with us, in relating, in allowing us to feel God's power, while at the same time, Father still is in spirit world as the king. Does that make sense? Primary characteristics. Hyungsang Sungsang. Secondary characteristics. Dual characteristics. Very important. Lest we fall into the heresy of multiple gods and ditheism, of course, which is Satanism. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay with us on the Kingdom.